Hey, this is Alec with the Mat Martial Arts, and here is your Back to Basics tip of the week. Today's tip is going to be based off of distance and angles to give you the best opportunity to get away or to respond in kind. The first thing we want to consider is the range at which we have from ourselves to the opponent. Now, typically speaking, we want to be outside of arm's range, which is a very safe place to be because then they can't reach you. So generally speaking, if you can't reach them, they can't reach you. Of course, there's going to be some differences in heights and lengths of arms and whatnot. And what you're going to be doing is giving yourself a posture that's very defensive-minded or de-escalation-minded. We're not getting into a fighting stance with our shoulders hunched and our hands closed and our body bladed a little bit. We're going to be a little bit more square. Hands are going to be open. Elbows are close to the ribs. Letting the shoulders be relaxed and be very calming. This is where we should be able to talk somebody down from stepping away. Now, when we do this, we want to be far enough away from this person that we can't reach them. Draw a line down the center of your partner or your opponent, and then draw a line down the center of you. You don't want those centers matching up. What you want to be able to do is get outside of their center, but keep them inside of yours. We talk about this being outside of your elbow reach. So if I'm in the middle of this partner's position, this range here and this range here, we're equal to one another. Not the safest place for either one of us to be because we're pretty neutrally able to do the same kinds of things. So what I want to do is step one side or the other, but still keep them inside of mine. Now the trick here is how much do I move between my left or my right off of my center? If somebody's going to posture up as if they're going to come at you, they're going to have one side leading in front of the other. Their rear side, or the one that's further away, that's typically going to be the dominant side that they would be attacking from. So what I would like to do is stay out of range, like we're talking about from the depth, but then I want to shine my body to center me in front of that lead side. So if this side is in front, then I can take my center and line it up to here and then turn to face them. If this side's in front, I'll step off to this side and turn to face them. I'm right-handed, all right? So my right side is dominant. And in a perfect world, I want to be set up to be more dominant, ready for my counter. But one thing to consider is rather than set up my dominant side, is position myself in a way that I can still kind of square off, but I'm going to circle my body around so that it's not a matter of dominant side, non-dominant side for me, it's a matter of the perception of my angling to them being seen or not. So if I'm here with my left side in front, my right side in back, when I step off to the side, it's going to be much more noticeable to this person over here who will then want to make an adjustment, and then we just go back to square one. If I were to switch my lead and be in a position where my right side's in front, I'm not turning my body in a way that makes it seem obvious to them as much, which makes it a lot easier for me to maintain an off-center position, keeping them in my center, but off the line enough that they're not going to want to make the adjustment because they're not going to perceive me being there as easily. So the difference between me doing this versus me doing this, it's subtle, but in the game of subtleties, that's a big deal, especially when somebody's charged up and ready to go. They're coming at you a little bit more aggressively and you're trying to talk them down. So think about your center to their lead side, and then whatever side you're going towards, make that side be in front. That way you can de-escalate the situation, you can still keep your distance, you can be out of range, but what you've done is you've built yourself enough time and enough space to respond within the range that they would most likely be coming at you from. Whether it's a haymaker style circular movement, a straight technique like a jab or a cross, or even just reaching for you or a push, any of that stuff becomes a lot simpler for you to read. When you're working on sparring, same kind of principles. I could have my hands up. If I work my body, left or right side, towards the lead side of their arm, or that lead shoulder, that lead hip, I'm going to be giving myself a slightly off-center position that I can still attack them from, but it makes them have to work a little bit further to fit the power zones of what they're trying to attack me with. Just remember, hands out in front, keep that space distance from you, shoulders relaxed, body in a good strong position. You're able to respond nice and easily without worrying about getting caught up in a bad angle. Hope you enjoyed that. If you want to watch more, click subscribe below and we'll get you set up with our mailing list. And you can check us out on the web at www.themataustin.com for classes online or in studio in the Austin area. Thank you, and we'll see you on the mats.